What's up, guys? It's your boy Ace, and today I'm dropping my second mock draft, and it might be my final one. I'm not 100% sure yet. It just kind of depends on if there's any movement before next week's draft. This second one is coming after the Brandon Cooks trade, so the Rams traded their 23rd pick to the Patriots, so the Patriots now have 2 first-round picks, and that did have a little bit of a chain effect at the bottom of the first. There are some of the same selections I had in my first mock, with obviously some changes and some new faces that weren't originally in the first mock. So I'm gonna put 8 on a screen at a time. Please drop a like if you enjoy the mock. Subscribe for NFL and Madden content. Let's get right into it. For those of you who did see my first mock draft, you'll notice that the top 8 is pretty much the same. The only change that I've made is Derwin James to the Bucks at 7 as opposed to Minkah Fitzpatrick. And really, guys, I'm not basing that on much. I'm only basing that on FSU connections, staying in Florida. I know that sounds pretty stupid, but I do view them as the same caliber player, so I just kind of wanted a tiebreaker there. I'm just feeling it right now. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them. Derwin does certain things better than Minkah and vice versa. I'm not in their front office. I don't know what they prefer. But I think they're going to go with this position. I'd be surprised if they go like linebacker or something. This is kind of a need that they've had for quite some time. So Derwin James now at 7. And I'm not going to talk about anything else because I've already talked about all of these players in the first mock. Baker Mayfield, I'm very confident with him at 3. I think that's the highest he can go, but I also think that's likely that he's going to go there. But the lowest for him probably around 15. So that's it for the top 8 guys. Let's move into the next section. All right, so I'm going to spend the most time talking about this group of guys because I know I'm going to get so much shit for having Josh Allen at 15. A lot of people don't have him dropping out of the top 5. And while he could go top 5, I'm going to explain why that wouldn't be a good idea. First, I want to talk about a couple players, and I will talk about Josh Allen. Roquan Smith going to the 49ers. That's a no-brainer. Reuben Foster's having issues similar to Aldon Smith. He might not see the field next year. We'll see. But if they can both be on the field at the same time, that would be a really good tandem. That's for sure. Next, we have the Raiders taking Minkah Fitzpatrick. He can play the most valuable role in a secondary, which is, well, not only a captain, he could also be a single high middle third safety. And, I mean, that's the hardest position to play in the back end because you have so much responsibility. You have to be rangy. You have to be smart. You have to be instinctive. And he can be all of those things. I'm not saying he'll be Earl Thomas, but, he'll be very, very, very solid. He could be like a Hooker from last year. So Malik Hooker. I don't know. It sounded like it sounded wrong when I said it like that. And then number 12, I want to talk about the Bills. So this is kind of where Josh Allen comes in. So everybody and the grandmothers are predicting the Bills to package 12 and 22 up and get into number 6 where the Colts are, because the Colts have been on record saying they do want to acquire more draft capital. So they are the number 1 suitor for the Bills, right? Well, here's my mindset. I think the Bills should wait for a quarterback. They have 2 first-round picks. There could be a special talent there at number 22, which we'll get into soon. And they can get the number 1 cover corner in the draft, and that's Denzel Ward. So what would you rather have? Josh Allen or have 2 promising young talents that you can keep on cheap contracts for 5 years? You tell me. Now, Josh Allen, he has an extremely high ceiling. To me, his ceiling is Matt Stafford, but his floor is Jay Cutler. And I think he's closer to the floor than he is to the ceiling because if he was close to being Matt Stafford, he'd be the undisputed number 1 pick in this year's draft. And he's not. He's not as good as Matt Stafford was coming out. Matt Stafford did have a little bit more talent around him at UGA. But his film, he was way more accurate than Josh Allen is. And everybody knew he was the number 1 well before the draft. That wasn't really disputed. So the reason I'm saying Bills should basically keep their picks. I don't do mock trades in my mocks anyways because I think they're stupid. But even if I was able to do mock trades, I wouldn't do one. I think the Bills should keep both their picks. So Josh Allen, I think he is closer to being a Jay Cutler. People are going to give me so much shit for that. But I don't think he's a first round talent or first round grade. I think he's a second rounder. Someone that has incredible upside but might need 2 or 3 years in a system before he can really contribute. So we'll see. I've been wrong before. But that's currently how I feel about Josh Allen, and that's why I have him at number 15. And I think that'd be a good fit for him because David Johnson could really take the burden and really help him out because, David Johnson can get 1,000+ yards rushing, 1,000 yards catching. And, I mean, that's an extremely valuable tool to have as a young quarterback. So that's what I think about Josh Allen. I'll talk more about it in a second when I pull up the next group of guys. Okay, so I want to resume those talks we had about Josh Allen as well as the Buffalo Bills picks. And obviously, you can see on the screen, I have the Bills selecting Lamar Jackson at 22. So, will he be there at 22? There's a good chance he will be there at 22. I would be surprised if he goes anywhere higher than 15. I think he can go anywhere between 15 and 32. I think he's going to get drafted in the first round. I know that's a really big range, but I'll be surprised if anybody lets him get out of the first round. Lamar Jackson is way closer to being Michael Vick than Josh Allen is to being Matt Stafford. I don't think that can be disputed. What I want to know in the comment section is, would you rather have Josh Allen or would you rather have Denzel Ward and Lamar Jackson? Let me know in the comment section. You guys already know my opinion based on this mock, but that's how I felt about it whenever I was doing this mock. I think you were able to pass on Josh Allen for Denzel Ward, considering you can get a Lamar Jackson later. Now, if the Bills didn't have that pick at 22, I think that's more where you have to go quarterback because you don't have an option later. So I just think, the ability to have 2 first-round picks gives you a lot of flexibility. So that's it for that entire discussion. I guess I'll talk about the other guys briefly. We have Isaiah Wynn going to the Seahawks. I feel like they really need to bolster that offensive line. You can't fuck around. You got to get those talented guys in the first 2 rounds. Can't wait till the 3rd, 4th, 5th. You can hit on those guys, possibly, but your best chance is obviously in the first 2 rounds. So in a division with Aaron Donald and Sue now, you have to protect Russell Wilson. He's your franchise. Then we have Calvin Ridley, completely opposite receiver from Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant can make contested catches. Calvin can't. However, Calvin doesn't have many contested catches because he's so good at separation. He's got speed. He's got really good footwork. He can run the full route tree. Very talented receiver. He's the best one in this year's draft. And a new face in my mock draft is MAURICE HURST. He wasn't even in my first mock. I think he was cleared from his medical condition, which I think was a heart issue. But he's super talented. So he's going to be staying in Michigan and going to Detroit. He has Aaron Donald type upside. I'm not saying he will be Aaron Donald because Aaron Donald is, in fact, the best player in the NFL right now. But the smaller defensive tackles who can really win off the line and get a really good jump off the snap can really be valuable in this year's NFL. Well, not in this year's NFL, in modern day NFL. And the fastest way to the quarterback is through the A gap. It's not around the edge. So Matt Patricia will like the chance to have a guy like him. And have Harold Landry going to the Patriots. I don't think this is a player that Bill will be extremely high on because he doesn't play the run extremely well. He doesn't set a really hard edge. But he's a really good pass rusher. In fact, he might be a better pass rusher than Bradley Chubb. There's a chance that he's a better pass rusher. But I think he could be a sub pass rusher for the Patriots in his first year. And let's move into the last group of guys. One thing I wanted to mention real quick before I move into these new group of guys, I did have a big reach at number 17 with the Chargers with Connor Williams. I didn't mention it because I completely forgot, but he could be a second-round talent. I'm feeling him there at 17, and I think that's one of the main weaknesses on a very talented roster. Just get some trench help. So with that out of the way, let's move into the next group of guys. I have some of the same selections I had in the first mock. So I had Carlton Davis already going there, Taven Bryan going to the Falcons, Mike Gesicki, who could be a Jimmy Graham type player for Drew Brees in New Orleans. I now have Rashawn Evans going to the Steelers, who I believe is a perfect fit. I think he's a really good zone blitz type player because I was surprised when I watched him. Like, his ability to blitz is really quite amazing given his size. If a running back has to block him, I feel really bad for that running back. So Rashaan Evans there. Ryan Shazier obviously had that horrible injury, and Evans will fill in adequately. Colton Miller, he's been going up everybody's draft boards. Vikings need some help in the trenches. Now, people compare him to Nate Solder. I don't think that's like an amazing compliment. Nate Solder, it's going to sound like sour grapes because I am a Patriots fan, but I was never a huge fan of Nate Solder. He had games where he was outstanding, but he also had games where you were just scratching your head and saying, how is he getting beat by this guy? This doesn't make any sense. So I view him like more as a solid player. He's not like a Joe Thomas or anything, but Colton Miller has that potential to be a Nate Solder, who is now the highest paid offensive lineman in the league. So it's kind of a compliment. You don't get the highest paid for no reason. But I think he could be a good addition for the Vikings. I have to talk about my Patriots. I have them taking Leighton Vander Esch, who, if anybody has ever seen him, he looks like Thad Castle from Blue Mountain State. If you've seen him in his Boise State uniform, it's exactly who he reminds me of. Hopefully he's not that much of a dumbass, but I've seen him play. He's a talented player. Not just because he's white, but I could see him having like a Teddy Bruschi kind of impact. And Teddy Bruschi, I mean, he's a Patriots Hall of Famer and probably a legend in the NFL. But, you know, he's a little bit more raw. I don't think he's played a lot of football, but he had an amazing year last year and good size, good instincts. And I think he would be a great addition to the Patriots. So that's it for Mock Draft 2.0. I don't think I'll make another one because I'd be surprised if there's any picks traded between now and then. But let me know what you guys think. The big topic on this one was definitely the Josh Allen thing. And like I said, I want to know what you guys think. Would you rather have Denzel Ward and Lamar Jackson, or would you rather have Josh Allen? So let me know in the comments. Please drop a like, and I'll see you guys later.